Hi everyone, welcome back to my lab and today's video in which we're going to try a whole bunch of new makeup again. I'm going to give you my first impressions on some new makeup I've been hauling and also give you my second impression on makeup I used last time and I'm trying again in a slightly different way this time around. You probably already saw a few sneak peeks of the items we're going to be using in today's video, so I won't bore you with those details, but if you are new here, my name is Yori. Thank you for joining me for today's video. I hope you're going to enjoy this one, and if you do, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up while you're watching, and please hit that subscribe button so that you can join our growing makeup family. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and get into the video. I'm going to be playing with the Glamlite Dirty Martini palette today. Here's what it looks like. It comes in this very elaborate plastic bottle, which I've already opened it and I played with the palette a little bit. If you look at it, it kind of opens like this into two separate pieces. It's just held on because it's got tape, and then there's another plastic insert, and then the actual palette is actually really small. Like, here's the actual palette itself. It's really cute packaging, but definitely wasteful because the palette itself, you know, it's relatively thin. It's really cute, still has the theme on the front and then nutrition facts on the back, which obviously you're not going to be eating this. But here are what the shades look like. Those are super pretty. I've already played with some of these blues already, and so I'm going to play with other colors in the palette. What I have to say right away is that the mattes are going to be really powdery, and the shimmers apply best with your fingertip. They do pick up on a brush, but you kind of have to build them up a little bit, and it's easier just with your fingertip. You get a lot less fallout that way as well. So let's do a little olivey look. I'm going to go ahead and start with that shade right there. It's called Green Olive. I've already primed my eyes with the NARS smudge proof eyeshadow base, and I'm using a Rephr brush. This one is a prototype. It's like an 07D brush. I did want to kind of do a full review on this collection, but it launched some time ago already and a lot of people have already done dedicated reviews, and I thought it would be good to just use it in another get ready with me video. Let me know if you prefer like dedicated videos to each individual palette, or if doing this format is better for you, because then that way you get to see other products as well. Like, I'm going to be including a couple of new face products also in this video, so you get to look at more than just one thing. And of course, you can always create the eyeshadow look with colors that you already have in your collection. I mean, at this point, I can't really say that colors are that unique anymore. And if you mix and match a couple of your palettes or your singles, you could probably get a very similar look. One thing I'm noticing about this shade is that I'm not getting full opacity, but neither did I with the shade Classic. I actually ended up patting that one on with a flat shader brush, and I was able to get full opacity, but I'm not going for that kind of look right now. And so I am going ahead and putting in just a light shading of this color. I'm going to go ahead and use this brush. It's a Rephr 14, and it's not clean, but I wiped it off on a towel. I'm going to use this shade right here, Dry Vermouth, and originally on this brush, I had used the shade Mix It Up, and that's why it's got that color, but I'm rubbing it on a paper towel, and none of that color is coming off. I did notice that between the greens, they're really quite similar. So you've got the shade Dirty Martini up here, you've got Garnish over here, and then the one that I'm actually using. Probably we could have done without maybe one of those and replaced it with a different shade, possibly a shimmer. I would have loved to have seen more shimmers. The two that I used were On the Rocks and Gin, and they were the blue shimmers and they applied really, really nicely. So I'm just focusing this on the outer corner. I'm just going to do a typical smoky eye. Sometimes every time I'm trying to review an eyeshadow palette, I try doing, the most, and then my eye look doesn't turn out in a way that I would have liked. I'm just going in with the original brush. I didn't add any additional product to it, and I'm just blending out the edges. One thing that I found is that since there aren't really any super light transition shades in the palette, one thing that I was using was having a little bit of translucent powder, and I would apply that along the edges, and it would kind of do the blending for me. Maybe I'll use one of those in-between shades like this one to go in between the two shades just to kind of see, and use a couple of more shades. I just talked about doing too much, and yeah, here I go again. It's just because I want to give you the best idea, in case you want to invest in something like this. The mattes work very well, but I have to say they're not my favorite. I really enjoy the metallic shades in these palettes a lot more. All right, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to go in with the shade Olive Lover, and I am going to use my fingertip to apply it. Here's what it looks like. And I'm applying it over my dry eyelid. And I think I'll use a little bit of gold on the inner corner. For the inner corner, I'm using the shade Just a Splash. This one is really shiny as well. Well, this is super gold. It's interesting because not every metallic feels exactly the same, and not every matte feels exactly the same. Some of them are more powdery than others. This one feels like a little bit thicker, a little dimethicone-y. Yeah, I'm reading the ingredients list and they do have dimethicone. I'm using another Rephr prototype. This is the P21. I think they made a couple of versions of this one before they finally settled on the Rephr number 21, which I also own, but I think this one works well, and so I still use it. I was talking about in my other video that I had hoped that they released some of those brushes that I have in this style with the metal ferrules, that I was hoping that they would release them kind of in a holiday bundle. And there is one. Unfortunately, it included all the other brushes, but I do enjoy Rephr's brushes so much that I honestly don't mind having doubles, and then the bundles were coming with all of those little vanity components that they're doing right now. So I figured that it was going to be a good deal. I'm going to go ahead and go in with the shade Dry Vermouth. This one is labeled on the back as a pressed pigment. So you are going to have a combination of eyeshadows and pressed pigments in the palette. So I think this is where I'm going to leave the look. It's the first time I was working with the greens, and from looking at them, there is a little bit of translucency, and I do wish that I had kind of blanked out my eyelid with a different kind of primer. This one is translucent, so I wish I had used one that's more tinted, just because it seems a little more translucent and my eyelids do have a little bit of discoloration. I do have a little bit of glitter fallout, which of course I will brush away, and I will be back once I catch up the other eye. Okay, so here's how the eyes are looking. I basically just finished that off by applying a little bit of this extra dirty shade just along my upper lash line. It's really, really thin. You can really barely see it. I don't think it really made much of a difference, but I have now used almost every shade, I would say. I'm still yet to use Vodkatini, Garnish, Chilled, High Class, and Crisp. So I've used about half of the palette, and it's pretty consistent. The mattes, they're pigmented, they're a little bit powdery, they do have a lot of kick up. The shimmers apply better with your fingertips, but they do pick up on a brush and they can be built up. I didn't apply a sticky base or anything like that. What you're seeing was just on top of my NARS smudge proof eyeshadow base, which was not set. And on my lashes today, I have the Lancome Tenti Dole mascara. In my last video, I was trying out the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. This is such a long name, and I liked it. I had a good result with it. It wore really well throughout the day, but I want to know what it can really do, because for something called Glow Hydrator, in my opinion, it wasn't that glowy. I mean, it was glowy, but not as glowy as I would like. So I want to really amp it up today, and so I'm going to be using a different primer. I'm going to be using this one by Touch in Soul. It's the Glassy, Pretty Filter Glassy Skin Balm. I love this. It's really good as a moisturizer, but also really good as a primer for my dry skin. I was recommending it to some of you so many times. I really, really like this. It is the closest dupe that I have personally found to the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. This gives my skin such nice hydration and slip. I usually use this if I'm wearing more mattifying foundations, because I can find I can really get them to work on my dry skin when I do that. It smells really nice. I just really, really enjoy it. I actually have a backup of that because I like it so much. I also want to use this product by Maybelline. It is the Instant Age Rewind Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup, and apparently this broke the internet. I know I had it on my radar for quite some time, but I know I had to keep waiting because it was sold out at Ulta. So supposedly this is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Contour Wand. So I'm looking at this and I'm just a little bit confused. Okay, I see. It reminds me of their concealers. Alright, it took quite a few twirls, but I think we finally have it. And in case you're curious, I picked up the shade 01 Light. And I'm just going to apply this in the areas where I would normally highlight. I don't want to apply it all over my face. It doesn't have any specific smell, it just smells makeup-y. I'm gonna go ahead and apply it with this Huda Beauty Glowish brush. It's a nice shade for me, so I'm assuming that these run kind of dark if I'm using the shade Light. I don't remember if there was one more lighter shade or two, but I think it was just one actually. So just looking at it, is it similar to the Charlotte Tilbury? Yes. Actually, I think this one is a little bit more wearable. So if you are the type that likes to wear like a glow product, the Charlotte Tilbury has a more of a metallic finish. Like by comparison, it's not metallic by any means, but compared to this, I think it is more metallic. My skin has a nice glow. Definitely a product that I will use on days that I have time or on days that I'm not wearing foundation for just a little bit of glow. Last time I didn't use remotely as much as I poured out, and so I'm taking just about that much and I'm going to dot it all over my face. I did note that the color was a little bit darker. I probably should have gone like 1 or 2 shades lighter for my personal preference, but once all the makeup was said and done and you know I blended out my concealer and everything, it gave me an okay finish. Alright, so now that I'm applying face products, I can chat with you a little bit more freely, and I wanted to talk to you about the new iPhones. So I know that they've been out, for about a month now, a couple weeks or so, and I noticed that there was a promotion with my carrier where I can trade in my existing phone and get the new one at a discount. And you know, I bought the iPhone 11 Pro Max when it launched. I'm sure I told you guys it was about 2 years ago. And my phone is practically new. I mean, I've been working from home and I'm pretty careful with my phone. I definitely haven't dropped it or anything. But I just finished paying it off since I bought it on the payment plan. When I bought it, I just put the phone on the payment plan since my phone prior to that was relatively old, or I think I gave it to my mom or something. Bottom line is I didn't really have anything to trade in, and so I had to pay the full sticker price, and so I kind of spread it out over a couple of years like they have you do at the Apple Store. So now to get the one that is the size 512, which matches the one that I have now, it would be approximately a $17 a month payment. And I think it's for 3 years. So they're giving me an $800 allowance on my existing phone, which is a good amount. And $17 a month is not that high, you know, but it's not $0 a month, which is what I prefer to be paying and what I was really happy to be paying because I had just paid off my phone. Now with all the layering that I did, now I would definitely say that the foundation looks glowy. Nothing like the Huda Beauty Glowish, of course, but it's definitely a more luminous finish and more aligned with what I personally prefer. I'm going to go in with my Nude Sticks Concealer again. I really liked this last time. Last time I set it with the Patrick Star One Size powder. So today I'm going to set it with my Pat McGrath powder instead and see if I like it a little bit better. I liked it a lot in that format and it blends so easily. I actually feel like I applied more concealer this time than I did last time. But even so, like I'm using a damp Beauty Blender Mini and look at how easily this blends out. It's so easy. So yeah, I'm curious on whether or not to iPhone, you know, to get the new iPhone. Because the catch is like, yeah, I could keep my existing phone and have my $0 a month payment on that. But then when I do want to upgrade, like say when they get to 14 or 15, then I will have had my phone so long and it will be so many generations behind that even if I did want to trade it in, and then at that point it wouldn't be worth anything. I'll have to get into a new payment plan for the new phone and I'll be back to paying $50 a month. Which if I do it this way, I could potentially pay it off earlier, you know, if I make larger payments than the $17, which I think I definitely could do that since I was used to paying $50 up until very recently. And so yeah, I need your advice. Let me know if you think it's worth it to upgrade. I'm just using the Makeup by Mario brush so that I can get right into the inner corner. It's always really difficult for me to get into the inner corner of my eye. This concealer is super nice. I'm using a Rephr number 18. I believe that this is one of the brushes that I reordered with the holiday sets. I believe that it was all the brushes released in 2019 in a bundle that came with a lot of those vanity components. I'm talking about saving money on phones, but yeah, I'm splurging on brushes. But you know, I don't feel so bad splurging on makeup brushes because they definitely do not expire. I love them. They bring me so much joy. And now I've been using my Rephr brushes for a while, so I'm familiar with them, and they are really, really nice brushes. And I do prefer animal hair brushes, and this is just a really affordable way to have Japanese handmade brushes. So I was setting with the McGrath powder, like I mentioned, and I like the concealer more than when I set with the One Size powder. This has always been one of my favorite under eye setting powders, along with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless, the pressed powder. I really love that one underneath my eyes. So yeah, the concealer has been consistently really, really nice. Even though I'm not one for setting my foundation, I want to try this Huda Beauty Glowish powder. It says Luminous Pressed Powder Compact, but it's supposed to be like a powder foundation. Now I went ahead and I grabbed the shade number 4, which is light medium, and I think that these are actually pulling a little bit on the darker side. So here's what that packaging looks like. It's very similar to the bronzer. I think if applied lightly, it could definitely still work. Now, because I'm not using this as a powder foundation, and even if I were, I'm going to use it with a powder brush. I was watching Alice in the Rabbit Hole, and she was doing the Jane Iredale powder foundation, and she applied it with a very fluffy brush. So even though this is a different foundation, I want to try like a similar technique. I picked up a bit on my brush, and I'm just going to set my foundation with it. It's another reason why I wanted to do all the prep steps where I put a lot of luminous layers underneath, since I knew I would be setting my foundation, and you guys know I don't frequently do this. This one is an It Brushes for Ulta, and it's just a powder brush. So it's picking up really well on the brush, and I'm just lightly applying a layer. I don't smell any fragrance. I think one of the things about this line is that it isn't fragranced. I don't mind fragrances in my products, well, as long as it smells good to me. But I know a lot of people are sensitive, and so it's probably best that it's not on there. So, you know, it's something that's going to be suitable for more people. So a lot of people have been saying that this is really shimmery. I wouldn't call it shimmery. In my opinion, it's actually more mattified than it was before I started. That's what my skin is looking like. And I think that the shade is going to be fine, actually. So even though I originally thought this might have been a little bit dark, and then this might have been a little bit dark, I think that once I apply the concealer and I brighten up my under eyes a little bit, it blends fine with my neck. And the skin is looking really good. I want to go ahead and use the Charlotte Tilbury Nudegasm Face Palette. I have the other two from, I think it was maybe not last year, but 2 years ago when she launched these. And I like them. I enjoyed them. And I was trying to not purchase this one, but I failed, obviously. Here's what the packaging looks like. On the back side, you have information about the products. So it's really a soft sculpt, a super sculpt. So 2 sculpting powders, a highlighter. Well, they're called Super Glow and Multi Glow, which is fine because I actually have the Patrick Ta blush palette to try as well. So with this, I'm going to go ahead and try the 2 powders and then the highlight, maybe mix, I'm not sure. And then for the blush, I'll use Patrick Ta. I do actually want to try to semi-contour, so I'm going to try to go into the lighter of the 2 shades first. And I'm using the Makeup by Mario F1 brush that I used in my last video, which I have to thank you guys so much for your kind words on that video. When I saw the comments coming in, you guys are so sweet, sending well wishes to my puppy. You know, I call him my puppy, but obviously he's an older dog. And it was just so sweet, and it cheered me up so much to see that you guys were still there, you know, even though it's been a while since I'd posted. Okay, so with this powder, obviously it's only my first impression, but I have used palettes like this in the past where it's like a big gelée formula and you really have to build them up. Like when you brush your brush in there, like it seems like nothing is coming up, but as you continue to layer, it does build up. So even though I consider myself like a light medium skin tone, I am able to use the lighter shade as a sculpting shade. My intention was to actually mix them, but this seems to be going on okay. I actually really like how that looks. I feel like it lifted my cheekbones quite a bit. So then actually for bronzer, I don't know that I necessarily want to go into that shade because it's a little bit darker. Maybe mixing the two or maybe sticking with the lighter shade. I'm going to actually just mix the two, and I'm using a Rephr number 24 for this, and I'm just going back and forth. I'm going to deepen it out over here by my ears. I mean, I still think it looks nice. Let me just do a little bit of blending. It's just me and face palettes. I just, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I feel that they are so easily interchangeable one to another. Like if you have a bronzer, blush, highlight, if I was wearing one palette versus another, like I really don't think that you'd be able to tell what I'm wearing. Sometimes with eyeshadow palettes, people can get really close to guessing what I'm wearing if it's like a mainstream brand. But with face palettes, I don't know. And if you have the ones from, a couple of years ago and you're still working on those, I definitely don't think that you need this one. Even though I was rubbing on my face quite hard with the other brush, I mean, I wasn't like, but I was rubbing on the bronzer or the contour shade. My foundation hasn't budged. I don't see any moving. It still looks really smooth in the cheek area where I was working, so that is a good sign. My foundation didn't move on my forehead. My forehead looks more luminous than the rest of my face, I would say, but that's typical, and that's also where I applied that Maybelline product. I'm kind of liking it so far. It's really nice. It doesn't have any shimmer whatsoever, so if you want something with luminosity and no shimmer, at least the shade that I have, Light 01, is good in that case. So I just wanted to thank you for your sweet comments on my last video. It cheered me up so much, and I was just so happy to see that you were still there. I'm gonna go ahead and use the highlighter from the palette. My camera cut me off, but what I was saying is that I could see as I was editing the video, my demeanor just become more upbeat, and you can just tell how much taking this time for myself, it's really great. It does really great things for me. It makes the harder stuff easier to bear when you take that time, So now I'm just going in with that highlighter, and it's applying nicely. It's a nice kind of champagne tone. And like I said, I won't be using the blush from the palette. I mean, actually, depending on your skin tone, that could be a highlighter as well. All right, so now I'm gonna play with this one. I know that a lot of people have been sharing this on YouTube already because they were able to pick it up in stores. I'm still not doing a lot of in-person shopping, to be honest, and so I just went ahead and waited until it came available online. I was even tempted to wait until the sale, but I'm glad that I didn't because it did sell out. This is what the palette looks like, super pretty and reflective. But the minute I took it out of the box just to see, that all the powders were okay, I got fingerprints all over it. So here's what the palette looks like. The colors are showing up pretty true to what they are in person. And like a lot of people have shared, you have all cream products there and powder products at the bottom. I'm gonna go ahead and use this shade just because I think I have a lot more going on in my eyes. And I'm going to apply it the way that he suggests, which is powder first, then cream. So the shade that I'm using is called She's Baked. And even though it looks like a deep color, I mean, I don't see it as being so dark. It's picking up darker on camera than it looks in person, honestly. I'm being careful to keep my blush a little bit higher this time. When I was filming last time, I brought it way too low. So I'm looking at it on camera, and it really does look more intense on camera. I'm applying only a light layer. It's definitely there, don't get me wrong, but it looks better in person. So for the cream, I guess I'll just use this beauty blender. So I'm using the back side of the beauty blender, And I'm just going to pat it on. Oh, I see. I haven't actually, even though I've had Patrick Ta blushes in my collection, the blush duos, I haven't taken the time to try it the way that he says with the at least I don't think so. With the powder first and then the cream. I'll tell you, like, it intensifies the color quite a bit, but aside from adding a little bit to the color intensity, I feel that it's giving the effect that you would get if you powdered and then applied a setting spray, like a dewy setting spray. Like, it has the powder kind of lay down, melt into the skin, and lose that powdery look. It looks crazy on camera. Doesn't look crazy in person though. Look at how fingerprinty it is already. I don't love that about the packaging. I think I'm going to use a combination of these two shades on the lower lash line. I'll put this one on the inner corner, this one a little bit, you know, just underneath the tear duct, and then blend everything out with that shade since I haven't used that already. So I'm going to start with the shade Just a Splash, which is the one I have on my upper lash line. Now I'm going into the shade High Class, and look, you can see that it's a darker gold. This was a completely clean brush, and look how green it looks. So I think this has like a multi-chrome effect. Yeah, it definitely does. I couldn't tell just by looking at it in the pan like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and use that one. Yeah, I think these greens are really similar. I would have to say that between Garnish and Vermouth, really we could have had one or the other. I don't think it was necessary to have them both, especially since even the darker shade is relatively easy to blend out, where I don't think you needed to have both of them. I finished the lower lash line. I have NARS Rue Bonaparte in the inner waterline and MAC Extended Play Giga Black Lash on the lower lash line. I'm going to go ahead and finish the look with lip products. I know light pink gloss or something like that would look so cute with this look, but I want to do something different. And so I want to use one of these KVD Epic Kiss Nourishing Vegan Butter lipsticks. I picked mine up in the shade Zine Queen, which is $150. And this is what the packaging looks like. I also have a lip liner that I think might work. So here's what it looks like. It kind of looks like the ColourPop Lippy Sticks, I would say. The Lippy Pencils, I think they're called. But the packaging has kind of like a studded texture on it. So I have this liner from Ace Beauty. I think I got it in a box. And this is in the shade Be Peachy. And it's just a brownie nude. It doesn't really have a smell. I mean, it kind of does, but it just kind of smells like makeup in a pleasant way, like a slight buttercream fragrance mixed with makeup. Well, this is a good match. It's a really good match for the liner. So right off the bat, you guys, this is a lot more pigmented than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of like a sheer tinted balm lipstick hybrid, but no, it feels like a creamy lipstick. Very comfortable, which is a good thing too, because my lips were feeling really dry. I'm going to go ahead and with the Ciate Everyday Vacay. It's the same setting spray I used last time. I think this is going to be the finished look. I realize it would have looked really pretty with a glossy lip, a light pink lip, but you know what? This works too. And I feel like it plays off of the blush a little bit. And I think it's nice. I wanted to try the lip color and I wanted to pick out different shades, so I'm not always wearing the same color. So this is the finished look. I actually ended up really liking how it turned out. I mean, the lip is bold, but it is more of a neutral, and I think it goes really well with the cheek color, which is also bold. And of course, you know, I love green eyeshadow. So let's go over some of the items that we used today. I'll go over the items that I'm using for the second time around, starting with the Urban Decay Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. These names are so long. I think that the color is actually working out fine for me, so I'll stop complaining about the shade. I think that this is a really nice foundation. As you can see, I kind of wear it as like light to medium coverage. I really don't go above that. I don't try to build it up because I just don't enjoy that kind of coverage. If I get that high of coverage, then you start to see all the fine lines and things on my face. Last time I wore this with the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer just to see how it would apply more or less on its own with a more classic primer, but today I did apply it with more luminous products underneath and I definitely got more luminosity with it. I kind of enjoy it more that way. I also use the Nude Sticks concealer again. I really like the way this concealer blends. It's one of the most easily blended concealers I have in my collection. It doesn't feel like overly hydrating, but it doesn't feel dry at all. Like it just melts into my skin so easily. And even though I haven't worn it without setting it in the past, I kind of leave it set on my eyes for a little while before I go in with powder, and it just looks really nice. So if you're one that enjoys not setting your concealer, you might want to try this one. I have mine in the shade number 4. I'm really liking it. I think it's a really good product and the shade works well as well. This time around, I went ahead and I set it with the Pat McGrath powder. And I did enjoy that one a little bit more than I did the One Size powder, although the One Size powder was good when I tapped it on with a beauty blender. But I think my under eyes look really good. The concealer hasn't moved. And I did take a little bit of a break when I finished my makeup. I went outside and it's just, everything is settling in really, really nicely. So those are the repeats. Let's go ahead and get into the new products. So the eyeshadow palette is so cute. I love these shades, but you guys know that about me already. I have now used all the shades except for 3. Here's what the palette looks like again. These are my tones, and the blues are really pretty. I didn't demo the blues today, but I have worn them in the past. They are really, really pretty. They're like aqua turquoise kind of shades. These shades right here in this corner, they blend together really beautifully. They create a really nice eye look. Like I mentioned, with the mattes, they are powdery. There is quite a bit of kick up. This one right here, Mix It Up, has quite a bit of kick up as well. But overall, having used almost every shade in the palette, this is a really nice one. If you enjoy this color story, I think it's really versatile. You can get some blues, you can get some grungy neutrals, you can definitely get the green. I'm really happy I picked up the palette. Let me know what you think of this more informal kind of review on the eyeshadow palettes, or if you would prefer to see a dedicated video with like in-depth details and swatches and all that kind of stuff. With the outer packaging, like I mentioned, I mean, this is excessive, but it is cute. I have to give them credit for kind of committing to the theme. It is cute. I'll probably keep this for decoration in my room somewhere. I'm not sure. It just feels really wasteful to kind of toss this out since it's, you know, pretty substantial compared to the palette. I also bought the purple one. I think it's called Wine, and I can definitely use that in an upcoming video if you'd be interested. Let's keep going along with the palettes. So this is the Patrick Ta for Face palette, and this one is the Major Headlines Blush palette. It's got 3 shades. She's a Doll, She's Vibrant, and She's Baked. I elected to use She's Baked today. This one is listed as made in the USA, and it has a 12-month shelf life. So the packaging is really pretty rose gold, but of course it is going to be very fingerprinty. And the shade that I used today was this one. I kind of went in with a little bit of a heavy hand, I would say, but I think it's matching with the lipstick really nicely. So a little bit of a bold look, but so what? I think it's fun. I like the shades that were included. I love that they are not repeat shades from his original collection of the singles. And so if you were wanting to try his blushes, this would be a great way to do so. I have tried some of his others in the past and the quality is exactly the same. Today I tried it differently, the way kind of he designed it by placing the powder down and then the cream. And I really feel that the cream just serves to set the powder in place, much like you would if you went in with setting spray after applying powders, as long as you are not, you know, buffing too much. And then I think it might move. I went in with a sponge and also a brush and just used patting motions, and I didn't have any issue with any of the products moving around. The shade selections are really nice. I like that there's something more cool tone and then something more on the warm side so that you have a little variety in the palettes. Quite pricey at $58, but I'm glad I was able to pick it up. Next, we can talk about the Charlotte Tilbury palette. That one is made in Italy. You do have 4 shades, 2 sculpting shades and 2 highlighting shades, although one could be used as a blush like I mentioned. 18-month shelf life, and each powder is 3.8 grams. So it's a good amount of product that you're getting. The packaging is so cute. Really pretty. Same size as the ones from a couple of years ago. And I have to say, I feel that I actually enjoyed this one a little bit more than I did the others. I'm trying to figure out why, and I think that it is because of this shade right here, which I thought was going to be too light for my skin, but you saw I was able to build it up and actually get some sculpt going on. I still enjoy kind of doing contour, soft contour, nothing too dramatic, and I like the way that that looked. The highlighter was pretty, nothing, you know, nothing too crazy, just a champagne highlighter. highlighter. I think that it ended up looking really nice on my skin. Even when I first applied it without setting spray, it was nice. It was blending in with the other products on my skin, but then once I applied the setting spray, it like really set in, and I think it was really nice. That's the only shade I didn't use, and I think that it's one that could be used as a blush or a highlighter depending on your skin tone. So, you know, even though I have the other two, I'm kind of glad I ended up picking this one up. I think that this one retails for $75, but somebody used my referral link, my customer referral link for Charlotte Tilbury, and that gives me and you $15 off. So someone used it and I was able to get $15 off of it, which, you know, it's always a good thing to save a little money. I think they have this one on the Sephora website as well, and the Sephora VIP sale is coming up. Charlotte Tilbury is one of my favorite brands, and it was really hard for me to resist that. I've resisted the eyeshadow palette so far, the new like Eyes to Mesmerize palette, the holiday one. We'll see if I'm able to stay strong. I really enjoy her brand for like everyday kind of looks. I love doing makeup like this, but when I'm going to work, I'm doing, you know, more toned down looks, and I want to share some of those on my channel as well. Let's see. Oh, we have the Glowish powder, and this one is the Luminous Pressed Powder Compact, made in Italy, 10 grams of product, 12 months shelf life. I picked mine up in the shade 04, which is the light medium shade. Even though with the Glowish tinted skin foundation, I'm using the shade number 3, and that one is actually a good match for me. I was a little afraid when I saw it that it was going to be too dark, but again, I went in with a fluffy brush and a really light hand, and I think that the color is going to work fine for me. Today I use it more like a setting powder, and I have to say it does get my foundation to glow. Like when I came in, when I went to the restroom, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I'm like, whoa, I'm really glowing. I mean, I love a glow, so I'm not complaining, but it is definitely a luminous powder, so you want to kind of keep that in mind if this was something you were considering. Next time I try it, I'm going to try it as powder foundation. I'm excited about that because it would be really nice to have a powder foundation work on my dry skin. So I'm really excited about giving this one another try. Now the powder was luminous, so I don't want to kind of forget about that. I placed it over what's supposed to be a luminous foundation, which I layered over very luminous products. The Glassy Skin Balm, I've used this many times. I love this. Absolutely love it. I think it's the closest dupe to Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. It's not super affordable, but it's not the price of the Magic Cream. Now, the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Perfector, I really like this, and I like the tone that I chose for myself. I could definitely see myself wearing this on a no makeup day where I don't wear foundation. Usually when I go to work, I won't wear foundation. I'll do a little bit of concealer, some kind of eye look, and a lip product, and call it a day. I could definitely see myself using this. This was really nice. I'm not a super big fan of applicators like this, but since the product is really good, I'll forgive it. I mean, I forgive the Hollywood Contour one, which also has kind of that sponge tip applicator as well, just because the product inside is so good. And I was comparing this to the Charlotte Tilbury Superstar Flawless Glow product. I think I was saying contour one just because that's my favorite product from Charlotte Tilbury, but I meant that this is similar to the Superstar Youth Glow Charlotte Tilbury product. This has absolutely no glitter or shimmer in it at all. It really is just a glowy product. So if you enjoy that kind of look, I think you'll really like this. Last but not least, we have the lip product. The official name of this is the Epic Kiss Nourishing Vegan Butter Lipstick by KVD Vegan Beauty. This one is made in Italy, and it has a 12-month shelf life, and I actually really like this. I have to say that it looks like the product inside is a little offset from the packaging, but once I use it a few times on my lips, I see that's going to kind of normalize, but it is something that I notice right away. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, but it is slightly offset in there. My neurotic self is like wanting to twist it, but I don't want to ruin the product. It applies really nice. It's really creamy. I picked up the shade Zine Queen, again, because I just wanted to pick up a color that's different, so I'm not constantly picking up the same colors. It snaps shut. It's pretty enough packaging with kind of like the studded, it's not a rough texture, but it is like a little bit studded white packaging. Very nice. It's not going to be transfer proof, so it's going to be something you're going to be reapplying throughout the day. And I thought it paired really well with the Ace Beauty lip liner in the shade Be Peachy. But I think that's everything with all the products that I used today. Let me know your thoughts and what you thought of the makeup look, and if you have tried any of these makeup items or if any of them are on your wish list for the Sephora sale. I will, as always, link everything that I used in the description box down below. I try to include brushes as well if I remember to say out loud which brush I'm using, but most of them were brushes that are available from Rephr. If you do choose to shop those links, I really appreciate it. It does give me a tiny bit of referral commission that I can put right back into the channel. As you can see, I spend quite a bit of money on makeup for myself, but also to share with you so that you can see it in action and see if it's something you actually want to invest in. I look forward to reading all your thoughts in the comment section, and let me know what you think about the phone situation. It's quite a racket that they have going on. What I really need is a new computer, which I've been complaining about for years now, but my computer's still chugging along. There's no way a new computer is going to be $17 a month. So yeah, quite the racket they have going on with the phones. It's like forcing you to get a new phone. Anyway, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I hope that I made this video a little bit more concise. We'll see how I did when I edit. Thank you again. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget that big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you're doing really, really well, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon on my next one. Bye-bye.